67 lives lost due to what President Trump says is the result of DEI policies from previous administrations. What does this mean for aviation safety, government accountability, and public trust? Plus, President Trump says a devastating midair collision over Washington, D.C. never should have happened. And President Trump claims that past policies weaken aviation safety standards and pledges immediate reforms. Good morning, I am Victoria Morgan, and welcome to Comlink, Presidential Administrations. Today, we examine President Trump's press briefing on the aviation disaster that has stunned the nation. A devastating midair collision over Washington, D.C. has left no survivors. President Trump addressed the nation in a high-stakes press briefing, outlining what happened and announcing immediate policy changes. However, beyond the tragedy, his remarks signaled a shift in aviation policy and accountability. President Trump opened the press conference with a moment of silence, calling it a dark and excruciating night in our nation's history. Today, we are all heartbroken. Trump announced that a full-scale investigation was underway, coordinated by the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Transportation Safety Board, and the United States military. He also made key appointments, naming Christopher Rosello, a 22-year veteran of the Federal Aviation Administration, as acting commissioner. Newly appointed Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy pledged to deliver answers swiftly, stating, "Not in 3 years, not in 4 years, but as quickly as possible." Trump also stated that he had strong opinions on the cause of the crash and would soon express them, foreshadowing his next moves. "We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions." Trump framed this tragedy as a failure of aviation safety policies, linking it to hiring standards at the Federal Aviation Administration, which he claimed were weakened under past administrations. He also suggested that diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring policies may have contributed to aviation safety failures. He pointed to an executive order he signed a week prior, which restored previous hiring standards for air traffic controllers, and contrasted his approach with the Obama-Biden policies, stating, "I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put politics first." This was not just about aviation safety. Trump used the crisis to reinforce a broader political argument about governance, competence, and hiring standards. Having constructed the narrative that diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and weakened hiring standards were to blame, Trump outlined his corrective actions. First, he reinstated pre-2021 Federal Aviation Administration hiring standards, reversing what he called the Obama-Biden DEI policies. He also emphasized merit-based hiring in aviation, stating, "We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system." Additionally, he appointed Christopher Rosello as acting Federal Aviation Administration Commissioner to oversee changes. Trump also indicated that further reforms would be necessary, warning, "We must have the best and brightest. You cannot have regular people doing this job. They will not be able to do it." In the construct-confront model, this is key. First, he framed the issue, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, and weakened hiring standards. Then, he justified immediate action based on this framing. By linking these policies directly to a national tragedy, Trump mobilized support for policy changes before the investigation had even concluded. In moments of crisis, public trust in institutions is on the line. From an organizational communication perspective, how a leader frames and manages a crisis impacts stakeholder trust, public perception of government competence, and future policy decisions in aviation and transportation. Key takeaways from Trump's crisis communication strategy. He placed direct accountability on specific agencies and officials. He emphasized swift action. He framed the crisis as an example of failed governance rather than an isolated incident. This moment also highlights how leaders use crises to reinforce existing narratives, shaping how people perceive both the event and its causes. So, where do we go from here? The National Transportation Safety Board and Federal Aviation Administration investigations will determine the official cause of the crash. Congressional hearings are expected on aviation safety policies. Public trust in air travel may be tested in the coming months. Trump closed with a reassurance. "Flying is very safe. We have the safest flying anywhere in the world, and we will keep it that way." What do you think? Was Trump right to focus on hiring standards, or is it too soon to make that call? Do you trust air travel safety regulations in the United States? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This debate is just getting started. And do not forget, Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more expert breakdowns of how leadership shapes public communication. I am Victoria Morgan, signing off. See you next time.